Hello everybody, my name is Kara, and today I'm here with my 2020 most anticipated releases. Are people still watching these? I hope so. I know mine is late, but I'm still really excited about all of these books. I'm going to do this pretty much how I did last time, where I just pulled out a few key things that made me excited about these books, because I'm somebody who doesn't really like to read a full synopsis when I am deciding if I want to pick up a book or not. And I also feel like this makes the most sense for sharing it with other people, because if you guys are somebody who likes to hear a full synopsis, I'm going to link all the Goodreads pages in the description box for the books I talk about, and you can just very easily go over there and read the whole thing. But if you're like me and you don't really want to be like spoiled for that, then you don't have to worry about it, because it's like you can't unhear something about a book, but you can get more information if you like. So we have a lot on this list because there are a lot of books I'm excited about. Believe it or not, I was actually very selective with these, even though I have a few pages. There's just a lot of books I'm excited about in 2020. So I'm going to start off with 3 books where we don't actually have a release date for them, but supposedly they are coming out in 2020. The first one is The Queen's Counsel by Emma Thériault. It's a historical fantasy that reimagines Disney princesses as rulers kind of coming of age, like coming into ruling their kingdom. And the first one follows Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I'm so excited about this. I really like Disney and I love Beauty and the Beast, so really excited about it. And I love political fantasy too. The next one is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is kind of a Romeo and Juliet meets The Godfather, and it's set in 1920s Shanghai during the Chinese Civil War. So I think it's like 2 main characters from rival families, and I don't know what kind of brings them together. If there's like, I think there's like some kind of mystery or an attack or something, and they have to work together to solve it or fix it. Starcrossed Lovers is something that I don't really love, but I feel like the way it's going to be done in this one is going to be really interesting. And then the last kind of vague 2020 book is the second book in the Camelot Rising series by Kiersten White. I really loved The Guinevere Deception when I read that in December. It kind of blew me away because I had not really enjoyed Kiersten White's other books, and I'm really, really excited for the sequel, especially given the way that book ended. Now I'm going to get into the ones where we actually have release dates for them. And I also want to mention that because I am filming this so late, some of these books have already come out, but for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to mention which ones those are because I don't know how long it'll take me to edit and post this. So it's going to sound like none of these books have come out yet, even though several of them have. And on January 7th, we have what is possibly my most anticipated release for the year, definitely one of them, and that is Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. This is an Own Voices Bolivian-inspired fantasy. There's also this element of weaving magic, which is something I really love. I love when magic abilities are connected to like arts and crafts type things, like especially kind of women's work. I find that so fascinating and I really enjoy reading about it. And there's also a royal decoy plot. The main character actually is the decoy for the last surviving royal of the royal family, and I've discovered that royal decoys are something I really enjoy. I find that that creates really interesting situations for character interactions. It also gives the author a great opportunity for like commentary on kind of the political systems and the class systems, so I just feel like that can be done in a really interesting way. Also, before I get any further in this video, this is a mess, I'm sorry. I was also lucky to be featured in a video from My Name is Marina's. She put together a bunch of different booktubers talking about their most anticipated release for 2020, and as soon as that is up, I will also link that in the description. Also coming out on January 7th, we have Throw Like a Girl by Sarah Henning, and this is a contemporary about a girl and a boy who are from, I think, different schools, but definitely different sports teams. I think she plays lacrosse? No, she plays softball. And the boy is a star quarterback, and I believe the female lead, she like punches somebody or something, like she gets kicked off the team. So the two of them swap teams. So she takes place on the football team and he takes her place on the softball team. I guess like he also got kicked off the football team. And this just sounds like a very interesting premise. I don't know, I have like a good feeling about this book, and also from the reviews or the summary that I saw, it seems like the male lead is kind of like a deconstructed dumb jock trope kind of thing, which I really enjoy. So I just anticipate that being really fun. On January 9th, we have A Throne of Swans by Catherine and Elizabeth Core. I think this book is only available in the UK, which would explain why it's not releasing on a Tuesday, because that's when American books generally come out. And this one is kind of a wild card. I always like to throw in a few books where it's like, I know very little about them, but I have like a good feeling about it, and this is one of those. I mean, not like I've given you super detailed descriptions on any of the others, but you know, this one has like magic that is based on turning into birds, I think. And I think our main character, she can turn into a swan, and she's fighting to defend her family and her friends. Like, I don't know if her kingdom is taken over by somebody else, but I think she goes to fight back. Also apologies for reading off of my notes here. On January 14th, we have one of my other most anticipated releases of the year, and that is Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore, one of my absolute favorite authors in the world. This is their first, I think, historical book. This one is also magical realism, but there is a historical element, and I think this is dual timeline as well, which is not something I tend to enjoy, but I will read anything McLemore writes ever, so I think this is still going to be wonderful. And it's based on the fairy tale of the Red Shoes and also of the dancing plague that kind of swept Europe in, I don't remember what century it was, but it was like this real thing and it was very odd. If it's anything like their other books, I think I'm gonna love it. January 21st, we have The Will and the Wilds by Charlie N. Holmberg. This one, like, I know more about the summary for this one, but it's harder for me to explain it for some reason. So we have two main characters, and I believe the woman makes a deal with a misting who kind of sound like they're essentially fae or like some kind of forest people or elves or something. So she makes a deal with him where she gives him a kiss in exchange for protection, I think. There's also like a mysterious forest setting, and I think the fact that she traded a kiss for protection kind of binds them together with magic. And the misting, he gradually starts becoming more human, and I don't know if she starts becoming more magical or like she might start getting sick or something. Basically, it's dangerous for her. And the dynamic of those two main characters reminds me a little bit of Gods of Jade and Shadow from Sylvia Moreno Garcia, which I absolutely loved. This is quite a short novel, so I'm a little nervous that it won't be well developed, but I am still really excited about it. And apologies for the interesting lighting situation. I'm sorry. On January 21st, we have The Mistwick School of Musicraft by Jessica Corey, and this is a magic school setting. It features music used as magic, which is something I'm very picky about, but when it's done right, I really love it. And also a fantastic female friendship. I have to give a shout out to my friend Jocelyn because she initially brought this book to my attention, I think like last year when it was announced, and she just like sent me the title and the cover and was like, this seems like a Kara book, and I'm like, this absolutely seems like a Kara book. On January 28th, we have High Fire by Owen Colfer. This one, I don't know. This one is also kind of a wild card because it's very different from the other stuff I've read from Owen Colfer. He wrote the Artemis Fowl series, which is still one of my favorite series I've ever read. And this one, there's a lot going on in the synopsis, so I'm just going to give you some highlights. I think part of it is set in the Louisiana Bayou. We follow a main character who sort of gets adopted by this grumpy dragon, and he's kind of like his pet or his assistant now. And yeah, he like becomes his familiar in exchange for protection. I don't know, it sounds wild. I've heard mostly good things about it, so we'll see. February 4th, we have Yes, No, Maybe So by Aisha Saeed and Becky Albertalli. This is a contemporary novel. Our two main characters, I think they're like working for a political campaign. They're going like door to door and doing canvassing stuff. And I believe the girl is Muslim, and I think the boy is Jewish. And I think it turns into a romance. And I've just heard really great things. I've heard that this is really adorable and heartwarming. And I think this book also takes place during Ramadan. On February 4th, we have the conclusion of one of my favorite ongoing series, and that is A Mixture of Mischief by Anna Mariano. I'm sad the series is coming to an end, but I'm excited about this last book. I talk about this series quite a lot on my channel, but middle grade, baking magic, voices Mexican American rep, fantastic family relationships and friendships. I just cannot wait for this book. February 11th, In the Shadow of the Sun by E.M. Castellan. Another stunning cover. This one has a lot going on, but I think I'm gonna like it. This is a historical fantasy, I think set at the Palace of Versailles, and there's a lot of like illusion magic involved, which is something I'm finding that I can be really into. And also the character dynamics sounded really interesting because I think our protagonist, her fiance, she ends up finding out, I think he's queer, so I'm interested to see how that is handled. Hopefully that is done well. And I think the female main character ends up helping the king and working with him, so I don't know if she ends up forming a relationship with him. I don't know. I don't know a lot of things about this book, but I'm kind of intrigued. On February 18th, we have Break the Fall by Jennifer Iacopelli, and this sounds like a contemporary that blends cute and heartwarming stuff with a really serious topic, which I've talked about in, you probably noticed from my favorite books of 2019 that that's something I really enjoy. So we follow a gymnast, and her team is basically bound for the Olympics. They're very talented. And then I believe one of her best friends is sexually assaulted. And I don't know if it says this explicitly in the summary, but it sounds like it might be partially based on the scandal that happened with the US gymnastics team, where I think it was their doctor, like the physician for the team, who was sexually abusing girls. It's obviously extremely horrifying. And so I believe our main character stands up in support of her best friend, and it's about them fighting back against that. And so that's like kind of the serious half of the book. And then I think also there's like a really cute romance between this girl and the coach's son. So not connected to whatever guy was doing those horrible things. I feel like there's going to be a really great friendship in this book too, which is also something I enjoy, so excited about that one. I mean, not excited because it'll be really heavy, but you know what I mean. Also on February 18th, we have Of Kisses and Curses by Sanjay Manan. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling that I think is a contemporary, but it sounds like there might also be magic, which I can get on board for. It's set at a boarding school, and our main character, I think she decides to get back at the boy who broke her sister's heart, or maybe like someone in his family broke her sister's heart. So she decides that she's going to like make him fall in love with her and then destroy him. And of course, I think feelings happen. March 3rd, we have The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. This is a historical fiction that might also have a hint of fantasy. And we follow basically the sister of Mozart, who is also very, very talented, but she kind of is forced to live in her brother's shadow. I don't really know a lot beyond that, but I don't really need to. I'm already excited about this. Of the Marie Lu books I have read, I loved her historical fantasy most, so I'm excited to see her kind of returning to a historical setting. Also on March 3rd, we have The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkowski. I'm not going to talk a lot about this one because I feel like everybody is talking about this one. It's set in the world of the Winter's Crime trilogy or the Winter's Kiss trilogy. I also heard there's supposed to be really good queer rep in this. The reason I'm a little nervous about this one is because it sounds like there's going to be a big road trip involved. And also one of the main characters is a thief, which is not an archetype I tend to gravitate to, so fingers crossed, but I do think this could be a winner for me. And then also on March 3rd, we have Anna K by Jenny Lee. This is a contemporary retelling of Anna Karenina with a Korean American cast. And I don't know why this just like really captured my attention. I've never read Anna Karenina. I don't know if I ever will, but for some reason the way this one was described sounds really good. And based on what I know from Anna Karenina, I really, really hope that they change some things about this book. March 24th, we have The Triumphant Tale of Pippa North by Tamra Belts. And this one just sounds like a lot of things I love in a protagonist. Basically everybody except Pippa wants to be a triumphant, and she just is happy being an ordinary person, which I love ordinary main characters. And I think the other main character is a boy named Oliver who wants to be a magician, and he's the only one in his family who doesn't want to be a magician. I think this book is going to play with the chosen one trope in a really interesting way, and this just sounds like a really lovely middle grade fantasy. Next we have Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa, and this comes out, I think the US release is March 31st, but I also wrote down April 2nd. I will be getting the UK paperback, which I love so much more. This is the third and final book in the Shadow of the Fox series, which is another one of my favorite ongoing series. We have a lot of final books in series I love, which is exciting and also sad. But I love this. This is a Japanese-inspired fantasy. I can't wait to see how this third book plays out. I love the characters in this series. I feel like the light is just getting worse and worse, so I'm going to try and go as quickly as possible. April 7th, we have Ghost Squad by Clarabelle Ortega. I said that slowly because I keep forgetting the A in her name. And I've just been hearing really wonderful things about this book for what feels like forever. I know Jocelyn has really enjoyed it. I think this is set in, is it set in the Caribbean maybe? And it's about a girl who, I think she accidentally, her and her friend maybe, accidentally wake up the spirits of the island, and then they have to try and fix it. And there's like this witch grandmother character, and there's a giant fat tabby named Chunk. I feel like this is gonna be one of those middle grades where it's cute and fun and wholesome, and then it also like punches you in the chest, which is something I love. April 14th, we have A Field Guide to Getting Lost by Joy McCullough. This one, honestly, probably didn't even need to know what this was about because Joy McCullough wrote my favorite book of 2018, which was Blood, Water, Paint. So I've pretty much been anticipating everything she writes since I read that. But the story does still sound good. We follow two kids who start to form a friendship because their parents, I think, start dating. And I believe the boy wants to be, like, he wants to write fantasy novels when he grows up. And I don't know what this is going to be about. I think it's just going to be like friendship and dealing with life stuff, and I think it sounds really great. April 21st, we have The Silence of Bones by June Her, and this is a murder mystery set in the Joseon era of Korea, which is a time period I don't think I've ever read a book set in, and I've realized that I actually can really enjoy mysteries if they're blended with other genres, because I thought for a long time that I just don't like mysteries or thrillers, but I think the secret is mixing it with another story element that I really like, so I'm excited about that one. On May 5th, we have The Life and Medieval Times of Kit Sweetly by Jamie Pacton. I think this is about a girl who, she works at like a Renaissance fair or some kind of event. Only boys are allowed to be knights, who are allowed to like play knights in the show, and she decides that's just not fair. And I think it's about her training and becoming a knight. It's a medieval restaurant, it's not a Renaissance fair. And it's described as Moxie meets A Knight's Tale. On May 5th, we have another anticipated sequel, and that is Court of Lions by Somaya Daoud. I actually really enjoyed Mirage when I read it. Was it last year or the year before? I heard barely anyone talk about it, but I think it was really underhyped. I really enjoyed it. And I'm very much excited to read the second book. It's kind of like a sci-fi fantasy blend, but I think it'd be good for people who are just getting into sci-fi. But I really enjoyed the characters and the world and the writing. The only thing I didn't really like was the romance, and I feel like that's going to be better developed in book 2, so I'm expecting to really enjoy this. On May 12th, we have A Place at the Table by Laura Chauvin and Sadia Farouqi. This is about a Pakistani-American girl and a Jewish girl who end up taking a South Asian cooking class together and becoming friends through that. This book's going to focus a lot on food, culture, friendship, serious issues too. I believe one of the girls, like, her mother is dealing with depression. So I feel like this is going to be another middle grade that is really cute and sweet, but that handles a lot of serious topics as well. Also on May 12th, we have A Ceiling Made of Eggshells by Gail Carson Levine. This is, I think, Gail Carson Levine's first historical fiction book. At least it's the first one I heard. And our main character is a Jewish girl. I think this is set during the time when the Jewish people were actually expelled from Spain, so I feel like this is going to be a really heavy book, but I'm interested to see how Levine handles historical fiction, and I think the girl is also very close with her grandfather. Also on May 12th, we have another anticipated sequel, and that is the English translation of The Memory of Babel by Christelle Debo, translated by Hildegard Searle. I have full spoiler-free reviews on both of the first 2 books. I will link those down below if you're interested, but I've been really enjoying this series. It's a very creative one. It's also one that's pretty tricky to summarize in a concise way, so I'm not going to try here, but basically I'm really excited to see where the 3rd book takes off, especially for some character development stuff. I'm a little nervous because I hope it's not one of those like 3rd books where the 2 leads are separated for most of it. That would make me really sad, but I'm excited about that. On May 26th, we have The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner. This is set, I think, immediately after World War II or soon after World War II, and we're following a group of different women who are all brought together by their love for Jane Austen. That's all I need to know. But honestly, that idea really appeals to me. This idea of women weathering hard times through their bonds with each other and through storytelling, I just find that very appealing, so I think that's going to be wonderful. On June 2nd, we have another one of my favorite covers, A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This is a West African-inspired fantasy, and I think it's about 2 main characters who are sworn to destroy each other but possibly fall in love, and I think there's a contest for the princess's hand in marriage. I don't know. I know very little about this one, but the things that I did hear made me really excited about it, even though now I couldn't tell you what they are. Also, the cover. And I just realized we have a whole bunch set on June 2nd, so just assume that these are all coming out on June 2nd until I tell you differently. We have Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles, and that is Moulin Rouge plus Phantom of the Opera. I'm already intrigued. Have I ever watched Moulin Rouge? No, but I love the aesthetic. And I just really love Phantom of the Opera, so I'm excited to see this one. I also have another anticipated sequel, and that is Igniting Darkness by Robin Lefevre. This is the 2nd and final book in the spin-off series to the His Fair Assassin trilogy. I actually have a full spoiler-free review on the first book, so I will link that down below. Given where we ended with the first book, I am really excited to see how things turn out in the second one, and I really enjoyed some of the new characters that we brought into the story too. Also, my Calamity Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodie Meadows. This is the 3rd book in their Lady Janie's companion series. I really loved my Lady Jane. I still need to read my Plain Jane, but I'm still anticipating this one, and I think it's about, I just had to look up what the Jane character's name is. Calamity Jane. It's literally Calamity Jane, and I didn't remember it. Anyway, that's the main character. Also Annie Oakley, so pretty excited about this. And then finally, the last of the June 2nds, we have Jo and Laurie by Margaret Stoll and Melissa De La Cruz. Now this could be a disaster because Little Women is one of my least favorite classics. I know, I'm sorry. There's some things I really love about it, but some things I really don't. And also, I have read 2 things by Melissa De La Cruz, and I hated both of them. So why is this on my list, you ask? Because this is basically a retelling of Little Women where Jo and Laurie, I think, actually end up together. And I know that's a very controversial thing. Like, fans have been fighting about this since Little Women was published. We have historical evidence about it. And I totally respect what Louisa May Alcott was like trying to do with the story by not having her end up with Laurie, but I don't think you can spend so little time on a character and then have them married off to a main character. I think she could have kept the original story and just been more convincing with it. I don't know. I'm just interested to see how this one is done. Maybe I'll hate it, but I'm kind of curious. Also, it might be that if I reread the book now, I would really not like Jo and Laurie together. Like, you're supposed to not like them, but at the moment, I'm just saying I'm intrigued by this one. Then on June 9th, I have another anticipated sequel, and that is The Boundless by Anna Bright, which is another beautiful cover. This is another one I have a full spoiler-free review on for the first book, so I will link that. But I really enjoyed this. It is not an Odyssey retelling. Do not let the marketing convince you of that. I don't know why they initially put that there, but it's not. But it's really lovely. I love kind of the soft magic feeling. I'm excited about it. June 9th, we also have Hood by Jenny Elder Moak. This is a Robin Hood retelling, and we follow Robin Hood's daughter, and a new cast of merry men and women. So that's all I really need to know. June 16th, we have I'll Be the One by Lila Leave, and this has a plus-size K-pop star where she's competing to be a K-pop star, and I've heard it's going to be like a really cute romance. Like, I just think this is going to be fantastic. This is another cover that I just love. It just brings me so much joy to look at this cover. Also, I think the romance is between her and one of her rivals, and I love hate to love. What can I say? June 23rd, we have Hunted by the Sky by Tanaz Bathina. This is an author where I own 2 books of hers. I'm anticipating her other book, and I have read none of them, but I have a feeling I'm gonna like her, okay? This is her first fantasy novel, I believe, and this is another favorite cover of mine. I guess I can stop saying that, but we have so many good covers. And I'm actually just gonna read a sentence from the blurb. Exploring identity, class struggles, and high-stakes romance, Hunted by the Sky is a gripping adventure set in a world inspired by medieval India. All of those things sound wonderful. June 23rd, we have Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. The only thing I really know about this one is that the main character volunteers to take the punishment of her sister. And I love the cover. I love the vibe that this summary gave me. And I just love strong sibling relationships. So honestly, that's all I need to know. Also, given how well I did with predicting my anticipated releases I would love, like I'll link that video too if you want to see it. But given how well I did last year, I'm feeling pretty confident. On June 30th, we have what might be, no, you know what, I'm gonna call it. This is my favorite cover. Out of all of these stunning covers, this is my favorite one. And it also might be my most anticipated book. Definitely tied with a couple others I mentioned. And that is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I am so excited for this, you guys. We've got kind of a haunted house set during the 1950s in Mexico, and we follow a main character who's a socialite who gets a letter from her newly married cousin, and basically her cousin is terrified and she asks her to come to her house and help her and protect her because she doesn't trust her husband. I don't know, I think it's going to be really creepy. I hope it's like atmospheric horror or creepiness that I can handle, but I'm really excited about this. August 4th, we have The Forest of Stars by Heather Kastner. I actually won a review copy of her first book, which was The Bone Garden, and I absolutely loved it. That was a really lovely middle grade that had some creepiness, some warmth, some friendship. Like, it was just a balance of a lot of things I love. So I'm very much anticipating her next books. And this one is about a girl who she's trying to find her father, and then one day she gets a mysterious carnival ticket to a carnival that happens in the sky, I think. Like, the setting sounds really, really magical, and I just feel like I'm going to really love this book. Like, I just loved the way that she wrote and that she developed the story and the characters and the atmosphere of her first book, so I feel like I'm going to enjoy this one too. On August 11th, we have another stunning cover, and that is Star Daughter by Shweta Thakrar. I think our main character is half mortal and half star, and she has to find another person who is a star to get help for her family. I forget what she has to do exactly, but this sounds a tiny bit like Stardust by Neil Gaiman, but one that I think I'd like better. I did like Stardust when I read it, but there were some things I really didn't enjoy about it, and this one sounds fantastic. There's also a magical competition. This book draws on Hindu mythology, and also when I was looking at the information for this book, I thought her name sounded familiar, and I thought she wrote one of the short stories in A Thousand Beginnings and Endings. This is one of those cases where I'm really glad that I took very detailed notes on which stories I liked. I was right, she did write one. She wrote one of my favorite stories in that collection, so I'm even more confident that I'm going to enjoy this. On September 8th, we have The Other Side of the Sky by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This one we don't even have a cover for, but when I read you this blurb, I'm not sure we need one because I'm already excited about this. A genre-bending romance where the 100 meets a Miyazaki-inspired fantasy world, in which the prince of a high-tech city in the sky falls into a goddess's ancient land ruled by magicians and prophecy. I love all of Megan Spooner's books. I know Amy Kaufman is kind of the one in the duo who's more popular right now, but I love Megan Spooner, so I'm really excited about this. And then finally, on November 3rd, we have another book that does not have a cover, but that is Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. So this is a contemporary romance that I think is hate to love, and there's also a little bit of like speculative fiction elements, like I don't know if it's magic or superpowers or what, but basically the main character, she gets the ability to inflict like instant karma or payback on people, and that's all I really know about this. Marissa Meyer has not led me wrong so far. You know, she's kind of one of those authors where people feel like she's really basic and she's getting like oversaturated, like they're kind of getting oversaturated with her books, and I understand that, but I just really love them. Like, I absolutely adore the Lunar Chronicles. I really loved Heartless when I read it last year, even though a lot of people hate that book. Like, I just feel like her storytelling just really works for me.